All right. Hi, Nick. How are you?
Douglas, how are you today? I'm all right.
Oh, doing good. Thank you. Thank you for coming on this show. I appreciate it. Your company sounds really interesting. Best Options Restoration, is that the name?
That's right. We commonly like to call it B.O.R.
B.O.R. Okay. You guys are the cleanup crew after something bad happens, yeah?
Well, I mean, whether it's a water, fire, mold, some sort of situation like that, we're the guys that come in and make sure things are dried or the contents are taken care of. Something something horrific happens, we come and make sure that nothing's ever to be there ever again.
So, according to your bio, it says you're the only successful franchised crime scene cleanup company. So, if somebody is murdered and there's blood all over the place, you guys are going to come in and take care of that?
Well, that's my other company, Bio1. Bio1 was sold about uh, 2 months ago. So yes, Bio1 is the only successful franchise that are a crime scene cleanup company. Yes.
Because you know what? When I read that, it reminded me of that movie, John Wick, the one with Keanu Reeves, where people were dead in his house and he called the cleanup and they all came in just sort of very nonchalant with buckets and bags. And I mean, would that be you guys?
Yeah, they'll show up with their chemicals and suits and bags. Bio1 guys, you will never see them come in or come out. They're used all over. Whether it's the FBI uses those for domestic terrorism or all the big hotels and casinos in Vegas. I mean, if it's an industry or if it's something that needs to be very quiet, then Bio1's generally the company that people call.
Okay, now you guys wouldn't come in obviously before the police would come in, right? Like I wouldn't call you first if there was a dead body in my house. I mean, I suppose I
No,
could,
no,
but
yeah, yeah. Bio1 is generally the last. They're the last responders, if you will. When the body is taken away, that's when Bio1 comes in and takes care of business.
so are you the only one who does that in the United States, or is the only franchised one, right?
There are a couple of other rinky-dink franchises that don't do it really well, but Bio1 is the largest and pretty much the most respected one. Bio1's the only company that is registered with the FBI. You know, in the sense of when the Las Vegas shooting, Mandalay Bay happened. I think it was 2017. I mean, we were the first and only phone call because Bio1 is the only company that the FBI or any federal agency really counts on.
I gotta ask, how did you get involved in doing this? Why did you start a company like this?
Well, Bio1 was started out of the church, believe it or not. A pastor had stood up and said a man had taken his life, and he didn't see his wife in the audience. So they asked a few of us in the audience that we would go to her house and make sure she was okay as well. And so we did. And I walked through the door with a buddy of mine, and the lady pointed to the back door, and they said I had to clean it myself. And to find out that the back door was actually her bedroom. And I walked in. I grandly walked across the living room. I walked in and took a look at the bedroom and quickly shut the door and saw everything that I don't think most people in life are supposed to see. So I walked over to the couch where she was sitting with a bunch of ladies from the church, and I said to one of the ladies, "Could you take her to lunch? We'll sit back and clean this mess." Obviously, I said it quietly to one of the ladies. And what happened later was what I thought would take 2 hours ended up taking six. It was we did 1,000 things wrong. There was nothing good came out of it. I think we probably spread more things around than we did actually clean it. We used at the time it was called Ajax. It was some powdered chemical that we threw in some hot water and some dish gloves, and we just went to scrubbing in the room. Again, I did 1,000 things wrong, but it was Bio1's motto was help first and do business second. And this because Bio1 came out of the church, they were very big on continuing to say, let's help first and worry about the business second.
So, how many franchises do you have across the country?
Bio1 has, I think, 145, 150 maybe.
Oh, a lot. Yeah.
Yeah,
And are these all independently owned?
they are. Yeah, the corporate doesn't own any of them. The corporate's not in the franchise business. They're into selling franchises, growing franchises, sustaining franchises, and helping them with their model. But actually doing the work, no one at corporate. There are no corporately owned franchises.
So if I wanted to buy one of these franchises, I could, right?
Depending on location, yeah. There's only a couple locations sold out in the United States where they don't sell them anymore. But yeah, bio ones continue to grow throughout the country, and from what I understand, what I'm told from the new owners they plan on expanding nationwide, or I should say, worldwide very soon in Canada, over in Europe, and I think they're going down to Australia.
Well, I suppose there's no shortage of crime. So I think that it probably keeps people busy. It's rather like setting up a hospital. You're always going to have sick people, right?
Yeah, whether it's disease like the COVID outbreak or the Delta variant outbreak, or suicide, unfortunately, and decompositions, they happen everywhere and anywhere at any given time. So, bio one's never without a shortage of gruesome things to take care of.
Wow. I mean, I don't mean to laugh at this, but it's something. Well, to be honest, I've never talked to anybody who was in this business. So it's kind of fascinating for me to find out about this.
Well, we kind of tell people, bio one's not dinner table conversation, but if you, God forbid, you need us, we're the only ones you actually want to call.
I don't want to get into any specific cases that you had. I think that's probably more than my family friendly show is going to handle. So I think we'll just leave it at that. Leave it at people's imagination. But let's talk a little bit about your other company, Best Option Restoration. Now, you said that this was for if my house is damaged during a flood or a hurricane or a fire or something like that, you would come in
Yeah.
and, yeah?
I mean, it can be something as simple as a water pipe break between the walls, or a sewage backup in the toilet. Um, you know, these things happen very, very frequently. I mean, our B.O.R franchises are busy every day of the year. I mean, I don't care if it's Christmas, Thanksgiving, New Year's Day. I mean, pipes are going to break and burst and leak at any given time. There's no real time for it. And there are 73 water jobs for every 100,000 people per month. And so it doesn't matter where in the country you are, there's always going to be work for you. So B.O.R franchises stay pretty darn busy.
What's the most common one you get? Is it water?
I would say water is probably in the high 80 percentiles of what we do, because again, in the wintertime, pipes freeze and they just get old and things start corroding away, and then sewage backups happen because pipes are old in the street. So yeah, it's pretty much nonstop. I would say it's water, then it's mold, and then after that it's fire.
Is this also a franchised corporation?
It is. It is. But we decided to separate the companies years ago. I mean, they were never two companies, but we decided to have Bio1 franchises and B.O.R franchises. And B.O.R's got about 30 of them running around. We only take 4 or 5 a year until we hit about 40. After we hit 40, we'll start bringing on several more. But it's very important in a franchise organization to have 25 to 30 what I call foundational franchises. Those are the ones that are doing well, continue to do well. All the bugs and all the kinks are worked out of the system. And then you can really start developing and growing the franchise nationwide from there.
So how long has B.O.R been in business?
B.O.R's been around for about 4.5, 5 years, going on 5 years now. So again, we're getting close to that pivotal point of what I call the hockey stick growth, where we're going to start taking on a bunch of franchises very soon and really start flooding the nation with, no pun intended, but flooding the nation with B.O.R franchises.
Is there one area, geographic area of the United States in particular, that you seem to get the most work?
There's not. Again, 73 water jobs for every 100,000 people every month claimed with insurance companies. So it doesn't really matter where they're at. This is obviously population driven. So obviously, the more dense the population is, the less the franchises have to drive from here to there. But overall, with 73 water jobs for every 100,000 people, literally every month, there's plenty of work, and it's really everywhere from Minnesota to Texas to Florida to California. It doesn't really matter where it's at. There's always going to be work.
Have the two companies ever overlapped? I mean, I'm thinking like in the case of an arson fire or something like that, where you might have to have both come.
Yeah. With B.O.R being a spinoff from Bio-One, I mean, the companies were made to overlap. Bio-One was, I mean, let's take an example. The arson is a perfect example. After whatever biohazard material that wasn't burnt away actually gets disposed of from the house, from Bio-One, Bio-Ones will call B.O.R's, best option restorations, and they'll come and they'll repair the house, pull down what we need to and repair it back to new again. So they are made to complement one another, and that's why we started the other business. We at Bio-One, we got tired of passing the work down the street, because after, let's say, something would happen on a floor, I mean, whatever body fluid you want to think of, the floor has to get ripped up, and baseboards have to go away. Some sheetrock or drywall sometimes has to be cut out. Well, but B.O.R's will come in after Bio-Ones, and they'll replace all that, and the companies really have a good synergy. They work well together.
It seems a little odd to me that if something horrific like a murder happened in a house and I was somehow involved, save for the victim, because then it wouldn't really matter if I was dead. But if somehow something happened in the house, I'm not sure that I'd even want to live there again.
Well, you'd be surprised how many people, let's talk about cars for instance. You'd be surprised how many people ask to have their cars repaired and given back to them. A lot of people wouldn't be able, or just simply can't afford to pick up and move, so they have to repair what they have. I'm with you, to be honest with you. I don't know if, God forbid, something were to happen in my home, that I would feel comfortable ever even stepping foot back in. But in most situations, families need to be taken care of, and Bio-Ones and B.O.R's help out at the greatest time of need.
It's just, I don't know, it's a little bit inconceivable to me to think, if one of my kids did something horrific to grandma and we would just clean it up and just go back to our life. It's just
understood.
Yeah,
I mean, it's a very rational way of thinking, yes, but in irrational times like this, even if the family doesn't want to stay, insurance still pays the bill to have their investment, being the mortgage, make sure the house is put back together, so at least it can go back on the market, and somebody can, if the family wants to move, they move, and the house is sold to somebody new that doesn't have those memories, if you will.
Well, in certain states, I don't know if this is federal, but I know in certain states that if someone died in the house, whether it be natural causes or otherwise, that has to be declared when you go to sell the house.
It does. In many states, it's not a federal law. It's state by state. But yeah, we deal with that quite often with real estate agents, and in the SPUDS report, having to explain exactly what happened. And in some states, they ask for the actual invoice to see what was repaired. So it happens. Yeah, it's very frequent.
Yeah, I remember that because years ago, my father died of cancer, and he died in the house. And when my mother went to sell it, she had to sign a big disclaimer saying, yes, he died in bed, in the bedroom, cause of death. I mean, the whole bit. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a big process.
Yeah. I'm sorry to hear that, but what you experienced is very normal.
But now you wouldn't come for something like that, right?
Well, we would. Well, let me back up. I don't know exactly how it happened, but let's say somebody's father passed away, and hospice wasn't around. They passed away by themselves. Then that would become an undiscovered death, and the body tends to leak out every fluid from any orifice it can, thanks to gravity. And they would Bio-Ones would come and take whatever bio needed to go away, and if floors need to be replaced or whatnot. If people were on the floor, then B.O.R's would come and repair all that.
Okay. Well, we do have to wind this down. Do you have a website that you want to give out?
I mean, everything that you can find on me, I believe, is nickzamucen.net. I believe now. They're always changing things. But B.O.R.restoration.com is also another one if they're looking at the best option restoration.
Yeah, well, we'll find one and we'll stick it up on the screen here so people can check it out. I got to ask before we go: is that a sea anemone behind you?
That's a piece of art that my wife got me. It does look like a sea anemone, though, doesn't it? I think it's
sure
supposed to be a star. It's just a creative little brass star.
Oh, I've seen those when I was scuba diving, many
Yes.
times. Yeah.
It does look like that, yeah.
All right. Well, Nick, thanks so much for coming on the show. This was definitely a first for this show. Very interesting.